He is Jalen Rose.
What up, dog?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
Together we're Jalen Jacoby. What is it that we do?
Give the people what they want.
Very special day today. Joining us on the show is none other than Portland Trail Blazers' Damian Lillard. And he joins us while he is in the news, in the headlines, for saying that he did not want to play meaningless games in the bubble. Damian, why did you say that you did not want to play meaningless games this season?
I mean, I felt like the way the story was written, it was taken out of context because it was a casual conversation. And it was like expletive this, expletive that, but it wasn't a demonstrative statement. I was just saying, you know, we've been off for 2 months, and if we come back, we want to play for something. You know what I mean? So after this type of break, usually when you come back, you know, especially with how fast we're going to be jumping into playing, you know, I think guys are at risk for injury, also at risk of, you know, being exposed to whatever, because, you know, none of us have been around each other. If so many teams are going to be in one spot. So it's so many things out there that, you know, we could be at risk of. So, I mean, if we're going to do it, obviously as players, we want to play, but we want to play for something, especially if we were in position to play for that in the first place.
Appreciate you being a voice for the players, and you guys dealt with some injuries this year. What have some of the reactions been like in your cell phone or on social media since you said that?
Nothing really. I mean, I feel like it hasn't been much. I feel like, and one of the reasons I haven't heard from many other players, you know, possibly other guys that feel the same way. You know, they want to play for something. And some people might be looking at it like, you know, it's almost summer. This is usually when it's our break. And if we're going to come back and not be able to actually play for an opportunity to continue to play, then, you know, I feel like some guys would prefer to just go on about their summer, you know, but I want to play. I've said that many times. I want to play. I just want to play for an opportunity to be in the postseason. You know, and I didn't feel like that was a bad statement.
Well, the Trailblazers were sort of in the hunt for the 8 seed. And you think of some teams like the Cavs and the Hawks and the Knicks, they're completely out of it now. They might not come back. But if you could sort of design how this season should be restructured, how would you restructure the rest of this season in the bubble?
If I could, I would, you know, design some type of play-in tournament between all the teams that were in striking distance. Because, you know, Sacramento was playing their best basketball of the season. So was New Orleans. And so were we. And none of those teams were in the playoffs, but we were within striking distance, you know, with enough games left in the season to catch Memphis. So I feel like a play-in tournament would be perfect, just because we actually were in striking distance and also had enough games to get in the playoffs. But to that point, if they did decide that, you know, we just going to go straight to the playoffs, obviously we would all be disappointed. But to this point, we haven't performed to be in that top 8. So if that's the case, then fine. But if we're going to just come back to play games, I feel like that would make it, you know, that'd be harder on everybody else.
We appreciate you joining us from the facility, rocking the Scully, since you haven't got a cut since you stopped playing basketball. What the workouts been like, Dame Dollar? You been able to work out with any teammates?
I mean, we haven't worked out together, but, you know, every day that I come in, I see Melo in here, CJ is in here, Winnie and Gabriel. We got, you know, a pretty solid amount of guys coming in, even though it could be 4 of us at a time. You know, they kicking dudes out when they done working out so the next person could come in, so we never have too many people in here. But it's been good. You know, I've been able to get my work done, you know, and stay in some type of shape. You know, that's good enough for me.
So, Dame, you mentioned a little earlier about sort of the uncertainty of going to a bubble and not being that sort of person-to-person contact and all the people that would have to travel to get there. What do you need in place to feel safe and to feel secure going into some sort of a bubble environment to finish the season?
mean, if they say we're going to go do it, I'm prepared to go do it. I think if they're saying that they're putting us in a environment that's as safe as possible, I think that's all you can ask. And I don't think we would be any more at risk than we are, I guess, in our everyday lives going to the grocery store. Like, I've been to the grocery store a few times with my fiance.
Me too.
And,
Me too.
Stop and pick up some food. I've done little things, obviously not going and hanging out with a bunch of people and stuff, but just stuff, essential things, if you would say that, where I've been out and just doing what I need to do, picking up what I need to pick up, where I could possibly have been exposed to anything, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like what's being presented, I feel like it would be the same amount of risk as, what probably all of us have been doing in our everyday. Outside of the fact that we don't know who's been doing what, that's a completely different conversation.
You're a great person to ask this next question as an all-NBA performer who led his team to the Western Conference Finals last year. The Greek Freak, LeBron James. Who do you feel like is this year's MVP?
This year's MVP? I mean, if you said either one, I feel like it would, nobody would have a problem with it. But me personally, I think it's this season, I think is LeBron. They're number one team in the West. They've been consistent all year long, and for him to be at the age he's at with the amount of miles that he has on his body, how often he's talked about, the pressure they put on him and every little thing that he does, and the level he's performing at, I feel like, in my opinion, I think he's the MVP. Number one in the West. I mean, leading the league in assists. I think he averaging 25, 26. I mean, that's super impressive, man. And I think this year, he's the MVP of the league.
I absolutely agree with you. Jalen does not, but we won't get into that because he's often wrong. But I do want to get into this. I think that your Trailblazers, in a bubble environment with some sort of a play-in opportunity, are one of the most dangerous teams in the Western Conference, especially because of the return potentially of Nurkic and Collins. Do you expect those two to be available if you do head into a bubble environment?
I'm 100% positive they will. It was right before all of this happened. I know Nurk was coming back like the following week, and Zach was maybe a month out. A month and a half out. So he was like, even if we get him back, it'll be, end of the season, last couple games. And we've passed that point, by a long shot now. So I feel like we'll definitely have both of those guys back. We'll be a completely healthy team minus Rodney Hood. And everybody's, every team is coming back off a 2-month hiatus. So it's a more even playing field than it ever has been. And we're coming back a more deep team and, a more well put together team. 2 great centers, 2 great power forwards, 2 great. I mean, we coming back deep and strong, and all that matters is winning. It's not like we coming back trying to figure out, this guy needs to get this many shots or that. We're going to come back and, given the opportunity, we're going to come back and try to sneak everybody and try to make something happen because we feel like it's possible. But we could also come out there and lay an egg because we ain't.
Who knows? Who knows? Hopefully the Trailblazers come back soon. And Jalen Jacoby will come back soon, just in 2 minutes with more. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. We are joined by Damian Lillard. Dame, so you mentioned last segment that you would like some sort of a play-in tournament for the Western Conference seeds, and you mentioned that you have Nurkic and Collins definitely coming back, and I'm doing the math during the break, and I'm thinking that's a potential matchup with LeBron and AD and the Lakers. What do you think about that potential matchup in the playoffs?
It'll be fun. I think the kind of season that we've had has been a challenging season. We haven't had, the most success, but we've continued to battle and we know what we're capable of when things do click. And, in the playoffs, it's just about, who's playing the best, who's in the best rhythm. So we know that we'd have a chance against anybody. Obviously, the Lakers would be the toughest, and that'd be a tough one to pull off. But we professionals. We always gonna be here for that type of challenge.
Dame, some of your greatest heroics have taken place in the playoffs. Multiple game-winning shots. How you broke up the Oklahoma City Thunder. In the gym right now, getting shots up. In the back of your mind, are you thinking of that image against a LeBron James or a Kawhi Leonard?
Nah. It's funny because I don't even think of the ones that passed. There's like, I don't even think of the I'm just like, I just be trying to imagine myself advancing. Like, all right, we got one out the way. And I just try to imagine like how I would feel, like what it would look like for us to be advancing to the next thing. So I
got to follow up to that. You shot down Russell Westbrook and Paul George and broke up their squad. Y'all playoff series was real testy. PG even said it was a bad shot. So from that year to this year, like, what type of motivation does that give you, knowing that you got a chance to be in that position again?
I mean, I just was looking forward to it. For me, it wasn't about being in that position again. It was like we've been in the playoffs the last 6 years. For one, you don't want that streak to end, and you don't want to play a full season and not put yourself in position to have a chance to like fight for what we playing for. And that's what I think about, especially like once we got to the middle, past the midway point of the season, where it was like, all right, we got to make a big push now. If we're going to do it, that's what I was thinking about. We got to give ourselves a chance to compete for it. Just if we get in that top 8, we're going to have a few more guys healthy. Anything can happen. It's an uphill battle either way, but I'm just trying to get in position to get in that final 8. And once we get in there, then I'm optimistic. You know what I'm saying? It's like whatever happens, happens.
So let's imagine a scenario in which there's a sort of a group stage or a play-in tournament to get into the playoffs, and then we get into the playoffs, and maybe there's a couple positive tests that take out some stars and kind of swing the way the playoff series would normally go. With all these conditions and the 2 months off, do you think that this season, this championship, would have some sort of asterisk attached to it?
I don't think so. I know if we was the team to come in there and somebody happened to not play or something took place or whatever happened and we end up winning, I'm not going to lose no sleep if we win. So I'm sure no other team would either. They're going to be like, we won it. We was all playing under the same conditions. So
there's always injuries, and there's the lockout seasons, and there's not asterisks with any of those championships. And we will have more with Dame Lillard right after this. Stay tuned to Jalen Jacoby. We're back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. We are joined by Damian Lillard of the Portland Trail Blazers. There's something happening in the America that we need to discuss in Minneapolis. There are protests last night in the wake of a video being released of a gentleman named George Floyd dying under the custody of the police officers there in Minneapolis. When you see something like this happen, what role do you feel athletes have in the fight against social injustice?
I think our role is just being a collective voice, just because of the platform that we all have, and the fact that, a lot of us have family that are still, living in these communities and that, could potentially be in these situations every day. So I feel like it would never be right for us to not be present and be participating in some way, shape, or form when these type of things take place, to raise awareness and to get people to see that this is a reality. These things are really happening and it's not okay.
Well, Dame, first of all, I want to thank you so much for taking the time from your practice there in the facility to join us on Jalen and Jacoby. We will be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. and you can always subscribe to the podcast where you will find exclusive content with Dame Lillard. Right up next here on ESPN, we have Dan Le Batard, highly questionable.
DJ turn it loud and watch me turn it up. So DJ turn it loud and watch me turn it up. So DJ turn it loud and watch me turn it up. Don't worry about it, we get it right. So 我用你的名字让你的苦酒喝醉的甘愿，也会哭的情愿。